Good morning. I hereby call this meeting to order and would like to recognize some special guests we have today. Paul Zachary with the City of Tulsa, Vip Reddy with FHWA, Rich Breer with INCOG, and Mike Patterson, of course, former Secretary of Transportation. Thank you and welcome. Commission Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Coburn?
Coburn here.
Mr. Studeville?
Studeville's here.
Mr. Shannon? Mr. Freimiller?
Here.
Mr. Dyson?
Here.
Mr. Alexander?
Here.
Mr. Junk?
Here.
Mr. Peterson?
Here. Director Gatz, you're recognized to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. It's with some extreme sadness this morning that we acknowledge an empty chair for ODOT District 7 on the commission. Steve LaForge was an exceptional commissioner, dedicated public servant who truly cared about the people of Oklahoma. His tireless support, insight, and leadership, both his professional and community roles, have left a profound impact on the state. His guidance was going to be missed on the commission, and we certainly want to keep the family in our thoughts and prayers. Commissioner LaForge was appointed in 2019 by Governor Stitt, representing District 7, and previous to that, and I don't know if you were aware or not, but he served on the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority Board, which is where I first met Steve, from 1995 through 2003, through the Keating administration. So, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would ask to observe a moment of silence.
Please,
in Commissioner LaForge's honor.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point, if you would, I'd like to recognize Sean Davis for some introductions.
Thank you, Director. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call Matt Mitchell up to the podium, if you don't mind.
Please.
Mr. Chairman, it gives me great pleasure to announce that Mr. Matt Mitchell has been appointed the District Engineer for District Number 4 up in Perry, Oklahoma. Read his bio here. Yeah, absolutely. Matt joined the Department of Transportation team in 2009 as an inspector at the Stillwater Residency. In 2011, he had the opportunity to join the Oklahoma State Roadway Design Squad, where he earned a degree in civil engineering. After graduating, Matt moved to Perry, where he served as the Division 4 bridge engineer. In 2017, he transitioned to the role of Division 4 area maintenance engineer. The following year, he became the Stillwater resident engineer and was eventually promoted to District 4 rural construction engineer in August of 2020. Matt became the local government division engineer in 2024, where he was able to collaborate with stakeholders across the state delivering transportation projects at both the county and municipal levels. So you can see he has a wide background in a lot of areas in the department. Matt earned his undergraduate degree in biological sciences in 2007 and civil engineering in 2014 from Oklahoma State University. Additionally, he obtained his professional engineer's license in 2016. Matt lives in Stillwater with his wife Jen and their daughters Macy and Maggie. Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you, Sean.
Mr. Chairman, the reason I have to announce Matt as being the new division engineer is because the old one is gone. And we're gonna recognize him a little bit today too. Trent January, would you stand up back there, wherever you're at? There you are. Okay. So as you know, late last year, we started a chain, a dominoes effect, when TJ came over to us from the Turnpike Authority. He left a void over there as the deputy director and the chief engineer. So they needed a chief engineer, and Trent was appointed as in that position last year. Trent started, he was with ODOT almost 20 years. Started as a maintenance worker in Delaware County back in 2006. And he had a lot of positions. He joined the OSU Design Squad in 2008. He was hired as engineering manager in District 2 in 2012. He was promoted to District 4 rural construction engineer 2017. And in 2018, January was named the construction and maintenance engineer for the Oklahoma City urban area, ironically, when TJ left to go enter the private sector. In 2019, January was named the district engineer for District 4, ironically, when Chief Taylor became the chief engineer here in Oklahoma City. So he served in that capacity until his recent promotion over at OTA. And we just want to say, Trent, thank you for your service, Oklahoma Department of Transportation. Man, we're going to miss you, but I know you're going to do great things over there. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Now, Matt's staying with us, right, Sean?
Yes, this is his contract.
Okay, good deal. All right, well, Matt and Trent, we are all grateful for your excellent work, so thank you and congratulations. Item 27 is approval of the minutes of the Transportation Commission meeting on February 3rd, 2025. Do I have a motion for approval of item 27?
Motion, Dyson.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Coburn.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Consent docket contains items 28 through 32. If any commissioner would like to pull an individual item out for discussion, he may do so at this time. Otherwise, I'll hear a motion for approval of the consent docket.
I make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Freimiller. And a second, Commissioner Alexander. Okay? Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 33 is engineering contracts. Mr. Hernandez, you are recognized to present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, item 33, engineering contracts. Part A is all districts statewide. On-demand traffic engineering. The department has selected 6 firms to provide these services. They are Burgess and Nyepel, Friesen Nichols, Garver, Kimley Horn and Associates, Lee Engineering, and Walter P. Moore and Associates. The combined contract value of these contracts is $3 million. Part B is also statewide. This is for on-demand overload permit studies. The department has chosen 1 firm to provide these services. They're Grossman and Keith Engineering, and the contract value is $500,000. Part C is in District 5, Beckham County, I-40. The proposed improvements are intersection modification, geometric improvements, relocate facility to new alignment, replace bridge on existing alignment. The department has chosen Consor engineers to provide these services. Their contract value is not to exceed $1,500,000, and the project is included in the 8-year construction work plan with scheduled let date in federal fiscal year 2030. Part D is District 8, Ottawa County. This is US 59. The proposed improvements are to add shoulders to 2-lane, safety improvements, and geometric improvements. There are 2 projects in this extent, as you can see on the map. The department has chosen C.H. Guernsey to provide these services. Their contract value is $1,713,675. Projects are included in the 8-year construction work plan with scheduled let date federal fiscal year 2029. Part E, District 8, Ottawa County, State Highway 10. Proposed improvements are to add shoulders to 2-lane, safety improvements, and intersection modification. The department has chosen Cowan Group Engineering to provide these services, and their contract value is not to exceed $943,750. Project is included in the 8-year construction work plan with scheduled let date in federal fiscal year of 2030. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on engineering contracts.
Thank you. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 33?
Mo-
Thank you, Commissioner Junk. And a second?
Second, Dyson.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Item 34 is engineering contract supplements. Mr. Hernandez, you're recognized to continue.
Okay. Part A is all districts statewide. This is for on-demand ancillary structure safety inspections. The department has previously selected 2 consulting firms to provide these services. They're Burgess and Nyepel and Consor Engineers. This is the first supplement, and the total aggregate increase for these contract supplements is $1,500,000. Part B is in District 6, Woodward County. This is State Highway 34. Project intent is to reconstruct and rehabilitate the existing facility. The department has previously chosen Smith Roberts Baldschweiler to provide these services, and this is their first supplement, and the value is $23,900. This project is included in the 8-year construction work plan with scheduled let date in federal fiscal year of 2028. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on supplements.
Thank you. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 34?
So move, Coburn.
Thank you. And a second?
Freimauer, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Hernandez. Item 37 is change orders with cumulative total of $150,000 or less. This is for your information only. Mr. Leonard, you're recognized to present.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman,
Morning.
members of the commission. I'd like to present item number 35, parts A through double D. These are change orders on projects which have a cumulative total of change orders of $150,000 or less. This item is presented for your information only, and no action is necessary, but I'd certainly be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. If there are no questions, Mr. Leonard, you're recognized to present item 36, change orders with cumulative total of more than $150,000.
Thanks, sir. Yes, item number 36, parts A through T. These are change orders on projects which have a cumulative total of change orders greater than $150,000. Your approval is recommended, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Very good. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 36?
Coburn, so move.
Thank you. And a second?
Freimauer, second.
Commissioner Freimiller, second. Thank you. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Leonard. Item 37 is claim for additional payment. Mr. Davis, you're recognized to present.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
Item 37 is claims for additional payment. This is in two parts. Part A is out of District 1. This bridge and approach contract located on US 69 over the Union Pacific Railroad near State Highway 51 junction in Wagner, Oklahoma, was awarded by the Oklahoma Transportation Commission on September 11, 2023 to Frontier Bridge Incorporated for a total contract amount of $11,790,918.43 with a contract time of 490 calendar days. Before work could commence on the project, Frontier Bridge Incorporated encountered delays and issues with receiving approval from the Union Pacific for the required bridge demolitions. After the contract was awarded, both the department and Frontier were informed by the Union Pacific Railroad of new additional requirements for working within the right-of-way that were not made known prior to bidding. Due to these new additional requirements, the contractor had to alter their means and methods for demolition, which necessitated the use of specialized equipment and atypical demolition practices. These changes have resulted in an increase in the scope of work needed to obtain approval from the Union Pacific Railroad to begin the bridge demolition, and thus have led to a cost increase of $3,387,120.78 to the contract. In addition, a previously approved change order provided compensation for a loss of overhead resulting from the aforementioned delays. The time for approval of the demolition plan by the Union Pacific Railroad took significantly longer than anticipated and therefore led to a substantial overrun of the change order quantity. At a daily overhead rate of $2,304.27, this item overran by 228 days, resulting in an additional $525,373.56 to be added to the contract. Supporting documentation verifying the claimed amount has been submitted and reviewed carefully by the department, and the justification for additional compensation in the amount of $3,912,494.34 is recognized. Because this amount exceeds the statutorily authorized 10% limit on new contract items, commission approval is needed and is requested. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
We reviewed this rather extensively in our subcommittee meeting this morning, and I found it interesting that the railroad, in this case the UNP, sort of changed the rules on us as we understood them. And I thought if you can do maybe a Cliff Notes version of what you explained this morning in non-engineering speak, I found it
Absolutely.
interesting.
So basically what happened on this project is we've had a lot of projects over the railroads before, and our demolition practices, historically, we've been able to rubblize the bridge. And that's a quick, efficient method for removing the old bridge deck.
Which means we jackhammer the bridge.
Correct.
But you put down protective measures over the
You
tracks.
you protect the tracks, that's right. Yeah, and so, not knowing any different on this project, we let it. They got to the pre-work conference, had the pre-work conference, and it was only after the contractor submitted his demolition plan where we informed that we would not be able to rubblize. The contractor was gonna be made to cut the bridge out in sections and pick it off the tracks, which necessitated the use of a huge crane, which many of our contractors in Oklahoma do not have. So that drove up the cost, and just getting to that point where they approved the demolition plan took a substantial amount of time, which caused for the delay claim.
I found that interesting, a little bit change of rules on the part of a particular railroad, so.
Yeah, and I will say, we had a meeting last week with both the Union Pacific and the BNSF Railroad, and there was dialogue going back and forth with us, and it's not that we're gonna play by the rules, we're gonna do what they want us to do. We just need to know that at the time of bidding, so our contractors can bid accordingly.
Well, they seem to make their own rules, but regardless, thank you very much. I found
sir.
that interesting.
Yeah.
Can they just, do we have a set guideline of how this is to be done, or can they just change it anytime they want to going forward?
So the process is gonna be, we're still gonna have to submit a demolition plan to them. There are some standard practices that we can put in place, but each one's a little bit different. You know, it's the size of crane, the placement of the crane, and the size of the bridge, and so everyone's gonna be a little bit unique. We do have some steps that we can put in place that are standard, but we're still gonna have to submit that demolition plan to the railroad for approval.
And then it's just up to them each time and then they can take, I guess, however long they want to review. Is there any specific timeframes that we have out there?
There is not, no.
Is there
No.
any way that we could work with them to set up a timeframe?
And that's what the
schedule or
meetings last week were about. We're gonna start working with them, open that communication up, so maybe we can put some steps in place to expedite that process a little bit.
It's very expensive for us. It seems like it doesn't cost them anything, you know, but they can drag this out and cost us a fortune. And, you know, it's probably a 5-minute decision for somebody to make, you know, in their office.
I think there's probably a little more to it than that, but yes, we are at their mercy after we submit that demolition plan. But I think going forward, working with them, I think we'll improve this process quite a bit. And hopefully we won't have this situation again.
They should be better to they should treat the taxpayers of Oklahoma better than that. And I'm talking about Union Pacific. This isn't right to run that kind of a bill up on us.
I appreciate your perspective.
But they have approved the current demolition plan?
Yes.
Okay, so that 3,000,009 is a good number.
Yes, sir.
I mean, other than a terrible number, it's a good number. Okay.
Yep.
All right. 37B, please.
Okay, Part B. This is in District 8. This widening and resurface contract was awarded by the Oklahoma Transportation Commission on November 6, 2023 to Becco Contractors Incorporated for a total contract amount of $13,857,000 and a contract time of 180 days. After work commenced on this project, a Mays County Rural Water District water line was discovered to be in conflict with construction. This line was not noted on the Rural Water District staff during the initial utility identification phase of the survey and therefore was not depicted on the construction plans. The water line had to be relocated for construction to continue. Negotiations with the contractor concluded that having Becco facilitate the relocation themselves would be the most effective way to accomplish the work and would allow the contractor to control their own schedule, negating the need for ODOT to hire the work done on a separate contract with Becco on standby. The waterline relocation consists of approximately 5,000 linear feet of 4-inch line and 4,000 feet of 2-inch line. The total cost of this work is $1,414,615. Since the total cost causes the contract to exceed the statutory limit of 10% on new items, commission approval is required. The necessity of this change order is recognized by the department. Approval is recommended, and I'd be happy to ask any questions on that one, too.
Well, I think you discussed this further in this morning's subcommittee meeting again, and I think it might be nice to call out Trapper Park's District 8 engineer for coming up with the most economical way to proceed by keeping Becco on the job.
Absolutely.
So, saved us money. Good work. Very good. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 37?
So moved, Coburn.
Thank you. In a second?
Second, Dyson.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Sean. Item 38 is proposed bid openings. Ms. Bryant, you're recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Item 38, proposed bid openings, consist of the final April 2025, the tentative May 2025, and the tentative June 2025 bid openings. I can't emphasize enough that this is a tentative list, and we are still under a continuing resolution through March 14th, 2025. And with that, the department recommends approval.
Right. Talked about that one, too. You've heard the presentation. I have a motion for approval of item 38.
Motion, Studeville.
Thank you. In a second?
Second, Coburn.
It's kind of a contingent approval, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Ms. Bryant. Item 39 is election of officers. This is for information only. Ms. Penn, you are recognized to present.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pursuant to the Department of Transportation's Administrative Rule, Title 731-3-1, the Commission shall conduct an election of officers for the Commission at the first regular meeting after the 15th of March each odd-numbered year. Therefore, in April 2025, at the April meeting, Commissioners will either self-nominate or nominate another Commissioner for any of the three positions: Chairman, Vice Chair, or Secretary. The process for accepting nominations will be conducted by the acting chair at the April meeting. I'm bringing this to your attention now so you can consider your own interest to serve as an officer or determine the interest of your fellow Commissioners over the course of the next month. This is for your information only, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. If there are no questions, item 40 is awards. Mr. Goka, you are recognized to present.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Item 40 is the awards from the February bid openings. Part A is from the January 16th, 2025 regular bid opening, and the following item referred to by call order was deferred from the January 16th, 2025 bid opening. It is now recommended that this item be awarded, call order 260. Part B, from the February 13th, 2025 regular bid opening, it is recommended that the following items from the February 13th bid opening referred to by call order be awarded: 310, 325, 405, 430, 440, and 445. Part C, from the February 20th, 2025 regular bid opening, it is recommended that the following items from the February 20th bid opening referred to by call order be awarded: 400 and 420. This concludes the recommendations for awards, and approval is requested.
Thank you. You've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion for approval of item 40?
Motion, Alexander.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Junk.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Goka. Item 41 is the Director's Report. Director Gatz, you are recognized to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Very much appreciate your recognition of the challenges that sometimes our partners in the railroad industry can represent. Certainly, the railroads would tell you that they were here before the highways, and in most cases, they're right. But it is an extremely important partnership with that mode of transportation. I really appreciate Sean and the team's efforts to ramp up our communication with the railroads. All of these types of circumstances are avoidable if we just make sure everybody's on the same page. So again, to the extent that we can, we're going to make sure we get the railroads to the table with us and continue to work hard so we don't have a repeat of this circumstance. So funding status, when you talk about federal funding and the recognition that our tentative letting lists are absolutely tentative right now, then that is simply because of the continuing resolution condition that we're in. As Letha pointed out, it does run out on March the 14th. If you read a little bit about what's going on in the Congress right now, and we stay in pretty close contact with our delegation, as you might imagine, it appears that they are going to move a full year's continuing resolution that would carry us through the end of September. That would provide us access to the full appropriation amount that would carry us forward in our construction contracts significantly. And so that's good news. They are going to work hard on it in the House this week, try to get that into the Senate next week, and all optimism that they get that approved by the 14th. We will keep you posted as far as those proceedings and how things are going, and give you an update if you know, anything changes to that effect. But in front of you, you've got a few maps. The 2025 and 26 state maps. We unveiled the Route 66 centric state map last week, and we did that in the Blue Room at the Capitol. Lieutenant Governor Pinnell was joined by some of our legislative partners, and former Governor George Nye was in attendance. So it was a special treat to get to see him, visit with him for a second. As you know, the Route 66 Centennial Celebration will be during the year of 2026. So pretty significant in the context of Oklahoma history. We were able to work very closely with tourism and also with the Department of Commerce and the Oklahoma Route 66 Association to put together a pretty unique map. It is a commemorative map, so we've printed or are printing in excess of 1 million copies. We expect this will be a very collectible item, and we may have to do a reprint if the need arises. But again, we're pretty excited about the approval of the map. The map's on our website, and looking forward to moving ahead with the centennial year for Route 66. I want to give you just a brief update, and I think we've got some video to run on the winter storm and the update for the year. When you look at this winter, and watching the weather the other day, I saw a report that we had a mild winter. And we have, quite frankly, had a pretty mild winter, but the types of storms that we have experienced have been significant. Whether you're talking about the winter event that dropped about 10 inches of snow in District 2, where we typically don't get snowfall like that, or just the icing conditions that we've experienced pretty much statewide in a couple of winter events. You know, it's been hard on our people, which is our #1 resource out there to fight winter weather. It's been hard on our equipment and hard on our materials. And talk about materials in particular. So far this winter, we've used about 34,000 tons of salt and sand mix, 824,000 gallons of brine, and the cost of those materials is about $4.4 million. District 4 has led the way in using material. They're up to about 10,000 tons so far this winter. The metro areas, that's pretty typical because of the traffic that they're trying to manage and the higher volumes in the metro areas. District 6 likewise has used about 400,000 gallons of brine so far this winter. And the type of weather we experience in the northwest part of the state, and certainly Commissioner Alexander can acknowledge this, brine has been extremely effective for us. So if we get out and pre-treat in advance of any type of a little frost or freezing event, it can really help us protect the travel and the public and the safety out on the highways by getting a little bit of pre-treatment down. And it's also proven effective. That's a method we use statewide now. that really makes a difference when it comes to trying to pry some of the ice off the pavements. When you look at the effect, you know, combined across the state, we've used about 89,000 man-hours battling winter weather this year. Certainly there's a cost associated with that, and it takes its toll on our equipment. At any one time, we've had as many as 80 trucks statewide that have been in for some type of service, whether that's in extreme temperatures. We see a lot of problems with the DEF systems, but also hydraulics and certainly the snow plow blades and things like that themselves. So hard on your equipment. And when you look at the infrastructure and the effect that winter weather has on the infrastructure, you know, you think first stripe. Our traffic stripe out there on our 33,000 lane miles that we have to take care of is never as good as we would like for it to be. And winter weather, I think when you look at having to put a plow blade on stripe that's already not as good as you'd like it, it makes an effect. You know, we really need to be reapplying about every 1 to 2 years to meet ODOT standards. And you guys, at your December meeting, we approved about $6 million towards striping efforts on top of the efforts included in the 8-year construction work plan. That $6 million covers about 200 centerline miles. But again, we've got 33,000 lane miles that we've got to try to take care of. So worth noting that we can't get to all that striping in a year, but we are going to continue to work at it. In particular, when you see winter weather and the effect that it has on construction work zones, because that stripe we put down in the work zones is temporary, and a lot of times we blade it right off whenever we have a bad winter event, and then you're challenged doubly because the temperatures have to be right to go out and do your restriping. So sometimes it takes us a day or two to get it back, and but certainly on something that's on our radar. We've got a graphic that's kind of the anatomy of a pothole, and you can see there what you get is water that enters the pavement. We get freeze-thaw action sometimes in the extreme with some of the 0 and sub-zero temps that we saw in this last storm. You know, you get the melt, gets absorbed. Next thing you know, you've got a cavity under the pavement, and then you've got a pothole. We've already seen some of that materialize after the last storms, and we're going to continue to see it materialize through the spring rains. That puts extra stress and strain on our maintenance budgets. The guys will be out there working to try to bring that back, along with some of the upcoming asphalt projects. Just today, you looked at and approved some contracts, Adair, Craig, Harper, LaFleur, McLean, and Ottawa counties. We've got work coming, along with work that's been previously approved and work that we will put in front of you going forward as soon as we've got access to some additional federal resources. All that to say, we will have a busy spring ahead of us. We'll have to really carefully consider our investment strategies as we start to look to the future and make sure we've got adequate investment in maintenance and certainly life cycle extending type projects. Each of those will translate into orange barrels out on the roadway. And as always, we're going to ask the traveling public to pay attention, put away their distractions, be exceptionally careful, observe the posted black and white speed limit, especially through work zones, slow down, and most importantly, buckle up. So.
You want to do the jingle? Eyes up, phone down, buckle up, slow down.
No. I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, but I will once again pass.
Okay, it's a good one.
So we got some work coming up ahead of us to play catch up, and the teams will do a great job of it. I want to talk just briefly. We've got a really unique project in Lawton. I think we've got some photos. I-44 and Gore Boulevard pedestrian bridge we just completed there in Lawton, and you know that was about a $2.5 million contract. That was a Transportation Alternatives Program project that was a partnership between the city of Lawton and us. Really important collaboration that separates pedestrian and bicyclists from people and from vehicles. And those efforts included some push buttons at the crossing streets and some additional sidewalks. Construction started in July of '24 and completed in January, so it was a very fast-moving project. But that can be a real difference maker when you're trying to move pedestrians from one side of a busy interstate facility to the other. And certainly that's going to reduce the mindset that you might want to just take a run across, because that can be extremely dangerous. We see, especially in some of our highly populated urban areas, folks that will sometimes find their way out into interstate traffic where, some of the most unfavorable conditions that you can encounter as a pedestrian. So we'd rather not mix that type of traffic out there. Bridge will be a difference maker for the city of Lawton, and we thought it was certainly worth recognizing the effort. Thank Jay and his team, Jay Earp and District 7, for the work that they do with the city of Lawton to make sure we keep everybody safe. So, with that, Mr. Chairman, I would stand for any questions or comments that the commission may have.
Just a question from me. As winters go, was our extra expenditures, and I think you said 89,000 man-hours, is that average, is that high, low?
We're a little bit on the high side this year for
Okay.
material and man-hours. Again, we didn't have to constantly fight it, but the storms we did have were very demanding and had an extended period. And like I said, rarely do we get 10 inches of snow in McCurtain County down in southeastern Oklahoma. And then this most recent storm really was challenging in the northeast with District 8 and certainly along the eastern border with Arkansas and District 1. So statewide, rough conditions managing snow and ice, but we had the most accumulation in northeast and eastern in this last storm. So statewide events, where sometimes we get an isolated event that might hit part of the state. This winter we've had more often than not statewide impacts. So,
All right. Thank you. Any questions, Bobby?
Comment. I would really like to thank ODOT for their solution with the brine water. It works remarkable for us out in northwest Oklahoma, where a lot of times we get very thin sheets of ice. Doesn't matter if ice is thin or thick, it still slides you right off the road. So they've come up with a brine water plan with salt water that really helps melt the ice and make the driving a lot safer out there. And just want to thank you guys for working on that and getting that in place, and the hard work that you've done to pre-treat the roads. It's funny I drive from Woodward, Oklahoma City a lot, and I can tell when a storm's coming because I can see the stripes where you guys pre-treat the day before any storm's coming. So it really helps us a lot out there, and we appreciate it very much.
thank you for that, Commissioner. And that was pioneered out in your country and here in Oklahoma, and the guys have done a good job of making sure that we take a treatment that's very effective, just as you described, and translate that statewide. And now we're pretty much using pre-treatment brine in every district, and it is a difference maker. So,
Good. Yep. Thank you, Commissioner
Thank
Alexander.
you very much.
Any other comments? Thank you, Director Gatz.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners have no other comments, and I'd hear a motion for item 42, which is adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And a second?
Second, Dyson.
Please cast your vote. We are adjourned. Thank you.